What musicals do you love that your great-grandchildren will love too? Shalom, I'm David Benkof, the Broadway Maven. Decades from now, which shows from the past 25 years will still be produced, taught, sung, referenced, and reimagined? I've chosen 15, not the most awarded or most talked about, but the ones that seem built to endure. The best Broadway shows reward rewatching, restaging, and rethinking. They show up in school, college, and community productions. They're teachable, quotable, and emotionally resilient across generations. They are part of the vocabulary of Broadway. I've ranked these shows based on one standard. Do I expect that 50 years from now it will be canonical without question? The first 5 musicals, from number 15 to number 11, are what I'd call possibly canonical. They're early in their journey, promising, provocative, and already beloved. The next 5, from number 10 to number 6, are well on their way. Shows that are frequently performed, widely discussed, and inching toward permanence. And the final 5, from number 5 to number 1, are already canonical. Musicals that have reshaped the form, embedded themselves in the culture, and are almost certain to outlive us all. Kimberly Akimbo hasn't been around long, but I believe it has the emotional depth, theatrical flexibility, and quiet resonance to last. In Kimberly Akimbo, a New Jersey teenager with a rare genetic condition that causes premature aging tries to live a normal high school life, while also navigating a spectacularly dysfunctional family, an awkward romance, and a slow-burning sense that time is literally running out. It's a strange premise, but it works thanks to a sly book and lyrics and a graceful, restless score. 6 reimagines the wives of Henry VIII as a sparkly, sarcastic, high-gloss girl group. Each queen gets her own solo, modeled on a different contemporary pop star, and the structure is a full-blown concert, complete with competition, banter, and ad-libs. It shouldn't work. But it does, partly because the show's frame is so flexible. It's a 6-woman show with a built-in band, no scene changes, and it runs like clockwork. It's perfect for schools, tours, colleges, and youth theaters. My hunch? 6 is going to be produced forever. Come From Away is a musical about decency. In the days after 9/11, thousands of grounded airline passengers were rerouted to a tiny Canadian town that suddenly found itself hosting the world. With just 12 actors and a few chairs, the show creates an entire town, an entire week, and an entire world of small gestures with enormous impact. There's no star, no villain, no real subplot, just a swirling ensemble, the driving Celtic rock score, and a reminder that in the wake of catastrophe, compassion can scale. It's small, tight, and replicable, and it rewards generosity as both subject and form. Something Rotten is a musical about musicals, before they existed. Set in Elizabethan England, it follows 2 playwright brothers trying to compete with Shakespeare by inventing a whole new art form. What they land on is musical theater, complete with tap breaks, kick lines, and a suspicious number of chorus girls. The show is unapologetically silly, but it's also deeply knowledgeable. The book is packed with Easter eggs for theater lovers, and the score delivers pastiche with precision. It's edging toward Canon status because it's built for people who love musicals. And the more musicals you know, the more fun you'll have. Mean Girls came with a lot of assets: Tina Fey's sparkling script, a built-in fan base, and a score that's sharp and fun. It's self-aware, energetic, and genuinely, but it hasn't made the leap from hit to essential yet. What gives it a shot at Canon status is how castable and adaptable it is. The structure is clean, the female roles in particular are strong, and the lyrics are deliciously good. The question is staying power. Will Mean Girls feel fresh in 20 years, or like a time capsule? I'm optimistic, so Mean Girls scores as possibly canonical. Now we're moving into the next tier. The shows ahead aren't just promising, they're already making their case. These next 5 feel like probable canon, musicals that are being produced, studied, and remembered with enough frequency and passion that their place in the repertoire seems all but guaranteed. Waitress wasn't an obvious candidate for Broadway longevity. It's quiet, adult, and anchored in a very small life. But that's also its strength. Waitress doesn't blast emotion, it traces it. The show centers on Jenna, a waitress in an abusive marriage who finds solace and eventually agency through baking. But it's not some star vehicle. Waitress is modular, small cast, emotionally flexible. With its increasingly beloved score, it's quietly building canonical traction. In the Heights bursts with energy, warmth, and the kind of neighborhood detail that only comes from deep familiarity. The story centers on Usnavi, a bodega owner in Washington Heights who considers leaving the community he's always known. This isn't just a hit show, it's a show people want to be in, especially young performers from communities that haven't always seen themselves on Broadway. It's castable, heartfelt, and full of life. Keep an eye on it, since it may ultimately deserve a higher place on this list. Next to Normal is a musical about mental illness, grief, and the limits of what love can fix. That sounds heavy, and it is, but the show's urgency comes from its form as much as its subject. With just 6 actors and a muscular rock score, it doesn't feel like a message musical. It feels like a crisis. The show is raw and relentless, and it's not easy to perform, but that hasn't stopped it from being embraced. For students, actors, and directors, Next to Normal is a challenge worth taking on. And it gives audiences a catharsis they don't always expect. It's already showing up in colleges, regionals, and streaming services, and it's not going away. Spring Awakening took a 19th century German play about teenage sexuality and repression and turned it into a full-blown rock musical. That shouldn't have worked, but it did, because the show doesn't try to modernize the world. It lets the music be the rupture. The adults' characters speak in stiff period dialogue, but when the teenagers sing, it's with raw contemporary anger. The tension between time periods is the point, and it still feels electric. For students and audiences, the show doesn't feel like history. It feels like memory. Hadestown takes one of the oldest stories in Western literature, Orpheus and Eurydice, and spins it into something bold, bleak, and astonishingly new. This folk opera fuses myth with modern muscle, and what results is elemental. It's not just successful, it's sturdy. It works on big stages and small ones. With a manageable cast, a distinctive score, and rich material, the show invites endless reinterpretation. That's what Canon shows do. They leave space for artists to make them new again. Now we're down to the final 5. These aren't maybes or probables, they're already canonical. These are the shows that have reshaped the form, defined an era, and carved out a permanent place in the repertoire. They've had cultural reach, commercial success, and artistic staying power. And I believe they'll still be standing 50 years from now. It's easy to dismiss Mamma Mia. Jukebox score, paper-thin plot, vacation vibes, but that would be a mistake. The show is a juggernaut. It opened on Broadway in 2001 and ran for 14 years. The story is light but stageable, and the appeal global. The songs were already hits, but on stage they became a celebration of joy, freedom, and a kind of middle-aged autonomy that Broadway rarely centers. Add 2 hit movies and decades of karaoke reinforcement, and you've got a show that may never stop getting done. The producers took a beloved Mel Brooks movie and somehow made it even more outrageous on stage. The show is one long punchline with tap breaks. Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick created one of the most iconic comedic pairings in Broadway history, but the show itself is bigger than any cast. It's a machine built to entertain, and it works. Hairspray is the rare Broadway musical that's both a crowd pleaser and a protest. It tackles racism, body image, and social change with songs so catchy you might miss how radical they are. It's accessible, heartfelt, and high impact. With its big cast, bright score, and clear point of view, it's not just fun, it's durable. And that makes it canon. Well, we have 2 slots left, and you may have noticed that Hamilton and Wicked are the 2 biggest ones I haven't discussed yet. And if you'd asked me 5 years ago, I'd have said Hamilton was the obvious number 1. It broke through every imaginable boundary, culturally, musically, even politically. But canon isn't just about fireworks, it's about staying power. And with the first Wicked film already a hit in 2024 and a second coming in 2025, I think Wicked may ultimately outlast Hamilton in the cultural bloodstream. Still, Hamilton is a juggernaut. This monumental and revolutionary musical about the founding of the United States, told with a cast of actors of color and a hip-hop infused score, changed the game. It was taught in classrooms, quoted by presidents, and streamed in millions of homes. It's canon because of its influence, but it's also canon because of its beauty. Wicked is, in some ways, the opposite. It wasn't immediately taken seriously by critics. It didn't win Best Musical, but it won its audience, and it's never let them go. Wicked's revisionist take on The Wizard of Oz has become one of the most beloved musicals of the century. It's durable, emotional, and wildly scalable. And as the movies expand its reach, its canon status only grows. So there you have it, 15 shows from the 21st century that I believe have the best shot at making it into the canon. You may be wondering why the Book of Mormon and Dear Evan Hansen didn't make the cut. Both were huge hits, both won Best Musical, and both shaped Broadway in their moment. But canon isn't just about what succeeded, it's about what lasts. Dear Evan Hansen spoke to a generation, but its central lie and emotionally tidy ending haven't aged well. As mental health narratives have gotten more complex, the show's version of empathy can feel manipulative, and its protagonist, once seen as a lost and relatable teen, now strikes many as a deceiver who never really earns redemption. The Book of Mormon is a tougher case. It's smart, it's sharp, and it's still running. But its satire goes hard on religion, with language and imagery that make it a non-starter for most high schools, colleges, and even many regional theaters. It's not just edgy, it's offensive by design. And that limits how widely it can be performed. Even if the rights were released, which more than a decade after the opening they are not. These shows aren't disappearing, but canon status requires reach, flexibility, and regular reinterpretation. And I don't think either one fits that definition. 50 years from now, we'll have new shows to argue about, but I'd bet that at least some of these 15 will still be there. Snug in rehearsal rooms, dissected in classrooms, quoted in playbills, and if we're lucky, still hitting us in the gut. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Shalom, I'm David Benkof, the Broadway Maven. The Broadway Maven is a vibrant educational community. Every month, members may attend 5 to 15 classes and other expert-led Broadway experiences, all for just $18. There's a membership link in the description. And here's a video I think you'll like.